There's a chapter in the book of Daniel that irks the hell out of me simply because I believe my entire life when I was growing up, it was always preached wrong. And every time I had a conversation with someone, they always tried to correct me on it. If you've never read Daniel chapter 10, it's actually an interesting chapter that you should go read. It's very short. But in Daniel chapter 10, you have Daniel during the time frame of Cyrus, the Persian king, according to the story. And this is when during the Babylonian captivity, after Cyrus the Persian comes in, he conquers the Babylonians, to which they didn't even really put up a fight. Cyrus is now the king. Now, Cyrus was Zoroastrian, and as a Zoroastrian, he worshipped Ahura Mazda. But because he was monotheistic, he had a liking to the Hebrew people. Also, because Zoroastrianism has a lot of similarities to Judaism. So Zoroaster being the supreme deity, where there could be no evil, similar to what the Jewish people were claiming Yahweh to be by this time frame. You also have Agramenia, who was the absolute evil. He was the devil. So in this story, when Daniel is approached by what he called the Son of Man, that was the first thing that I always thought was taught incorrectly. It is normal for Christians to say that the Son of Man is Jesus, that's what they refer to as Jesus, because Jesus referred to himself as the Son of Man. And since the Trinity came into play, anytime Jesus is referred to as the Son of Man, then that obviously means that in the Old Testament, the Son of Man was Jesus, and Jesus is in the Old Testament because Jesus is God, according to them. But here's the problem. Here's the rub with that. Ezekiel referred to himself as the Son of Man. Isaac was referred to as the Son of Man when in reference to Abraham. The Son of Man into the Hebrew people back then, when they wrote it, the Son of Man meant in the likeness of man, not deity, not Lord, capital Lord, not God, but the Son of Man, an ordinary human being. It can even be referred to as an ordinary human being who's carrying the authority of their deity, but yet they are still just an ordinary human being. So Jesus referring to himself as the Son of Man is him referring to himself as not God, but an ordinary human being. The other part is the word prince. Prince. The Archangel Michael said that he was delayed by 20-something days because he was fighting the prince of the Persians. Now, this prince, Michael himself, is also referred to at the end as a prince. As a prince to Daniel. So prince is synonymous at this point with the word angel, with what you can refer to as an angel, a spiritual being. So who was this angel of Persia to which Michael was fighting? If he was talking, he said the prince of the Persian, which would most likely be referred to Agramenia or one of Agramenia's demons. But churches has always tried to preach this as he was fighting one of the fallen angels, because they did not want to accept that the Jewish people of that day, the Hebrew people, were monotheistic. I mean, they were henotheistic, that they accepted the belief that other gods existed, that other gods exist according to this story, that the Bible authenticates the existence of other deities, other gods. And so Michael could not have been fighting the prince of Zoroastrian, could not have been fighting Ahura Mazda, could not have been fighting Agramenia or any other force within Zoroastrianism, because according to Christianity, no other deities exist outside of the Bible, yet inside the Bible it is easily telling you that because it speaks to the prince of the Persians, and then later on he says he has to fight the prince of the Greeks, then you will have to fight, that is their acceptance of the fact that the Greek gods also exist, because we know after the Persians conquered the Levant, then the Greeks came and conquered the Levant, and then the Romans conquered the Levant. So they were fighting. It could be looked upon as a metaphor, but these stories, this verse, this book, this chapter rather, I've always felt was taught incorrectly, because it admits that the Son of Man is just in the likeness of man. It's just an ordinary man who may have the authority of their deity. That This prince is a representation of the henotheistic belief of the people of that day, and that they accepted, and that this Bible validates other gods. So with that, I think that it's a very interesting chapter to go and read, but that pastors and preachers and Christianity has this one dead ass wrong, which is another reason why we deconstruct it and we keep it moving. So remember, we deconstruct it because you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.